I think it is fair for House Republicans to question the January 6th committee investigation. After all, they mostly didn't participate. And I was regularly critical of the amount of coverage the left-leaning media devoted to the commission. But to give this footage to someone who is effectively a January 6th denier is dangerous and hypocritical instead of real answers to any questions about the attack. All we're going to get is more wild, fringe partisan spin. Joining us now is Bob Barr, former Republican congressman from Georgia. Thanks so much for coming on the show. Appreciate it. All right, so what do you make of the Speaker's decision to give this footage just to Tucker Carlson?
I think it's purely a partisan political move, which I think will, in the long run, hurt the Republicans as much as it might hurt the Democrats by what Mr. Carlson puts out there after he sifts through this, he and his producers. It's not going to stop the controversy. It's not going to stop people, including other media outlets, from asking questions. It's certainly not going to stop the Democrats from making this an issue. So while in the short term, it may provide some raw meat for the Republican base, in the long run, it's not going to solve anything. It's not going to provide objective answers to anything. And I think it's just going to create more controversy and also continue to denigrate the public's perception of the Congress as more interested in partisanship than they are in transparency.
But it does seem like almost a bizarre political choice, right? I mean, you want to give it to Fox News, you give it to the Fox News news division, right? You say, we've decided to let Bret Baier and the team over at Fox News sort through this and decide. Instead, they give it to the one guy at Fox who has largely just dismissed the entire event as a tourist attraction and people taking pictures, et cetera. That, to me, seems like the most bizarre aspect of this.
It really doesn't make a lot of sense, other than if there was some promise made prior to the Speaker receiving the 15th vote and becoming the Speaker. I don't know. I'm not privy, of course, as none of us on the outside are, to what promises were made to whom and for what. Whether that was a part of those negotiations, one doesn't know. But, as somebody who has been in the Congress and involved in releasing information to the media as part and as vice chair, as I was, of the House Oversight Committee, this is not the way to do it. And it's not a smart move, I don't think, on the Speaker's part.
Here's a question I truly don't know the answer to. I've been hearing on a lot of the left-leaning stations about the security concerns in doing this, right? A lot of Democrats have been suggesting that there are security issues with allowing the public to see exactly how Nancy Pelosi was taken out and where they did it, et cetera. Is that a concern of yours?
Overall, no. However, if in fact there is some footage that shows secret corridors or secret doors in the Capitol building or secret tunnels that I'm not aware of, and I spent 8 years up there, then those certainly should be taken out. Overall, I don't buy into the argument that simply because the footage will show the way people can come into the Capitol and go down different corridors that are open to the public, I don't buy into that. But this is a very good point that you make, Dan, and that is that if there are portions of the 40,000 or whatever footage that do show sensitive information, sensitive data, then those should be taken out. If they aren't, then shame on the Speaker for allowing that information and those videos to be made public.
Yeah, I have to say I am perplexed by the decision here to do it and do it in this way. Interesting theory that you pose about the possibility that it was part of a deal when Kevin McCarthy became Speaker. Who knows? But Bob Barr, thank you so much for taking the time. Really appreciate it.
Always a pleasure to be with you, Dan.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.